La prima domanda dell'intervista riguarda il tuo ultimo libro, Lo Stato di Flusso. Perché hai deciso di dedicare un intero libro al flusso? Sei uno scrittore molto prolifico. In generale, come decidi a quale progetto dedicarti tra i tanti possibili?
First of all, it's nice to see you. And hello to everybody in Italy. I've never seen anybody from the Italian publisher side, so that's very nice for me. How did I decide to choose to write on flow? It is because of my tennis play. I noticed through tennis that I was facing challenges that are related to the challenges my students also face in daily life with their business, with their relationships, with their health, with everything. And one of the first challenges that I noticed was that I was playing much better tennis when I was warming up than when the official game started with scorekeeping, with audience. Okay. When there was no audience and no official scorekeeping, I was playing really good tennis because I was playing freely and just hitting the ball without thought. And then the game starts and consciousness narrows and constricts, and suddenly you're concerned about what people think. So that was the first. And then there were many other things that I learned through playing tennis, actually, that helped me realize there is a state of flow. Sometimes I was, for example, the other day, I was in a tie break. And a tie break it was the last part of the game, and the other team was leading 7-1. So they had three more points. We're playing till 10, three more points to go to victory. And everything looked like they would win for sure. And I thought, well, if I'm the author of this book on flow, why can't I now apply the tools that I teach to people? So, one of the tools I teach in the book is to stop being concerned with myself and self absorbed and instead put my attention outwards, to be with others, in touch with others, in touch with the present moment. One of the keys to flow, letting go of your self absorption. And I did that. It was 7-1. And I spoke to myself 7-2, 7-3, 7-4, 7-5, 7-6, 7-7. I was planning the score that I would have very soon. And I spoke this out loud, and it annoyed the opposing team, of course, but it's not illegal to say numbers. And we won. We won the tiebreak 11-9. And that's why I wrote the book Flow, because I know things that can be applied in critical situations. I know how to get into flow. I know what gets me out of flow. And I had to put all of that into a book. It's one of my most important books. I would say it's in my top five. I've written 50 books. This is in my top five.
Si può dire che il flusso sia l'origine della creatività e dell'ispirazione?
Yes, we can, because I choose my projects. You ask me how I choose my projects. I choose it based on fascination and if it can help me learn and help me grow. If a book that I write cannot help me learn and grow and be more creative, I don't choose it. And this is to do with the state of fascination, which is again related to flow. Once you're no longer self-absorbed and you are absorbed in something you love. In my case, it's tennis. In your case, it may be art or dancing. You lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you are in flow. When you're in flow, you no longer ask, what is flow or how do I get into flow? You're in flow.
Quali sono gli ostacoli maggiori che si incontrano per entrare nel flusso?
Self absorption, being too worried about how you look, tension, trying too hard. Those are the main obstacles, trying too hard.
Se tutto è perfetto così com'è e anche ciò che può sembrare terribile e tragico si rivela alla lunga positivo, così dici nei tuoi libri, che senso ha allora applicare delle tecniche tipo reality creation per influenzare la realtà e spingerla verso una certa direzione? Si può dire che solo chi non ha compreso il flusso e non riesce ad affidarsi ad esso ha bisogno di intervenire magicamente sulla realtà?
That's a very, very good question. I would say the flow book is written for a different level of consciousness. If you are in the flow, you don't need techniques. If you're in the flow, you don't need to meditate. If you're in the flow, you don't need to apply emotional releasing or whatnot. You don't need therapy. You don't need to affirm. You don't need, I don't even, when I'm in the flow, I don't need setting goals. Yes, that is a yes.
Nel tuo libro parli dell'importanza dell'avversario e della sfida, suggerendo in qualche modo che siano un carburante per la crescita personale. Una frase molto bella del libro è questa: per entrare nel flusso serve il giusto grado di difficoltà. Un mare calmo non ha mai creato marinai esperti.
Yes. It's, some of us are underwhelmed and some of us are overwhelmed. But underwhelm is actually more of a problem in our society. People are bored, they're not challenging themselves. They're comfortable, they stay in their comfort zone in front of a computer screen or TV screen or in a cubicle in some box. And people can only be happy if they are challenged, if they grow, because that's the purpose. In my view, that's the purpose of being here, to learn and to grow. So a flow state is in between overwhelm and underwhelm. It's not too difficult and it's also not too easy. It's right in the middle. It's perfect. I like to say there's some people who live life like people who always climb the stairs. And then there's people who always take the escalator. They stand on the escalator, and others always walk the stairs. The ones that always walk the stairs get fit. The ones who always take the escalator, they have an easy life. But I'm neither. I'm the one who walks the escalator so that I have both. I can get stronger, but I can also get to my goal more quickly.
Nello stato di flusso suggerisci che bisognerebbe scegliersi un partner al proprio stesso livello, o ancora meglio a un livello più alto. Perché?
If you're surrounded by people that are worse than you again cannot challenge yourself, you cannot learn and grow. This is for insecure people. They always choose partners or people that they perceive as lower than them and think, okay, I can have an easy life with this person or I can control this person. But if your goal is to really grow and learn, you surround yourself with people who are better than you in many things, not in everything, but in many things. That's why.
Nei tuoi libri parli molto dello sport, specialmente del tennis. Sembra che per te lo sport sia quasi una pratica spirituale.
Yes. I'm of the type of person who does not enjoy sitting in meditation. I'm a physical being and I want to be physical. And the states that you achieve in meditation can also be achieved through sports. For example, in meditation, you need to learn not to be so reactive and to be able to observe. Same in sports. You need to learn to be aware in meditation of many different aspects and things. The same in sports. So, my sports is most certainly my meditation practice.
Scrivi spesso dell'importanza di focalizzare e direzionare la mente e non di combatterla o trascenderla, come viene proposto da altri approcci spirituali e meditativi. Come ci si può educare a questo?
You don't educate yourself about it, you just focus it. You learn that there's four modes of attention everybody should learn: narrow, focused attention, open, wide attention, relaxed attention that perceives many things at the same time, but it's more soft. And then there's something called immersed attention, where you forget yourself. And then there's a fourth mode called total attention, which goes more into a spiritual direction. So these are four modes of attention to practice. And I think I touch upon them in the book.
Come trovare l'equilibrio tra azione e non azione, tra volontà e lasciare accadere, tra controllo e abbandono? Credi che i geni della storia, i grandi artisti, i grandi inventori abbiano compreso questo segreto?
They understood that a master is not only a master of one thing, but flexible in attention, doing, not doing, mountain, valley, left, right, up, down. Yes, that's my answer.
Un'altra frase molto bella del libro è questa: la vera vittoria non sta nel risultato, ma in quello che impari attraverso il gioco. Ma avere questa consapevolezza non diminuisce la determinazione di voler vincere. Un'altra cosa importante che dici è che non c'è vittoria senza sconfitta. Puoi dirci qualcosa su questo aspetto?
This is immensely important. You're choosing the most important aspects. Some people, they play the game of life or tennis just to win, and they play very timidly and carefully. But I don't play to win, I play to get better. That means I don't play so carefully, and sometimes I make a lot of wrong shots before I get the right shot. And because I'm willing to lose for the purpose of playing better, in the long run, I win more. That's something to think about for everybody who just listened. Repeat what I just said and really think about this.
Nel libro insisti sull'importanza di sviluppare l'attenzione diffusa, combinando insieme concentrazione e rilassamento. È qualcosa che si può apprendere o è frutto della maturità e dell'esperienza di vita?
It's something that everybody already knows and has, but through conditioning, we lose it. As an example, when you're learning to ride a bike, you grip too hard. And then when you're becoming better with the bicycle, you loosen your grip and your attention diffuses more and opens, and you notice other things. And in my view, 90% of the people are much too tense and they are gripping life as if they are beginners.
In un punto del libro dici che per entrare nel flusso bisogna spostare l'attenzione su ciò che ci circonda, smettendo di preoccuparsi di sé. È molto interessante perché di solito nei circoli spirituali si insiste sul fatto di guardare e cercare dentro e non fuori.
Yeah, this is important to me. It's good to look inside, but if you're always looking inside, you become self-absorbed, and this can actually weaken you. You know, if you do, for example, vipassana meditation all the time, you're always in. Or I have a lot of people, they do what they call releasing, and they're saying, I'm releasing my issues, releasing my issues, releasing my issues. But while you're always focused inside, many things and opportunities pass you by. There are people in your surroundings who could use your love and attention, for example. You miss them because you're so self-absorbed. My issues, my issues. Well, if you would put your attention outside and help somebody around you who needs your help, for example, then you would have no issues. You would forget your issues because what you focus on increases. So I wouldn't put too much focus on inside because there's no difference. At a higher level, there's really no difference between inside and outside. What's inside? What does it mean? Does it mean my organs? Or consciousness is everywhere. And I, the self, is not necessarily limited to the body. It expands way beyond the body into your entire field, your family, your neighborhood, your country.
Nel libro parli del concetto felicità uguale fortuna. Riuscire a provare gioia quando si perde o quando si sta male è la chiave per tornare a vincere o a star bene. Ma come si fa? Certe persone fanno una bandiera del loro malessere e delle loro sconfitte. Per loro c'è speranza?
It's the victim consciousness. Such people need to understand that their identity, their victim identity, has a payoff. If it didn't have a payoff or an advantage, they wouldn't be doing it. So they benefit from this, and if they want it to stop, then they can, but it has to come from them. I don't give such people too much attention unless I have to because they're in my coaching, but I always try to bring them back to their responsibility into what happens to them.
Nel libro suggerisci ai lettori di provare ogni tanto a cambiare lo stile di gioco, invitandoli a non identificarsi sempre con il ruolo che gli viene meglio. Puoi approfondire questo tema?
This applies to daily life or to sports, and I saw it in sports the most clearly. We tend to get into, if something works well, we tend to rigidize and crystallize one way of being, one way of hitting the ball, one way of standing. And we lose flexibility because it worked so well before in the past. But just because it worked well in the past does not mean you have to rigidize it, because if you only apply this identity or this role or this way of being, this way of thinking, you're no longer growing again. So there must be a balance between what works well, what's worked in the past, but don't let the success of the past define you too strongly. This worked in the past, but there's even better and there's even more, because there's always better. And the moment a human being says, I've made it, I've achieved it, you're already dying, you're already dead. You're meant to continue to expand, continue to grow, continue to learn without end.
Nel libro accenni anche al flusso vissuto non individualmente ma come gruppo. Se questo è evidente negli sport di squadra, come si fa invece in un'azienda o in un gruppo di lavoro?
Common goal, trust, familiarity, exchange, and everybody is aware of the group goal and aware of the others in the group, of their strengths and weaknesses. Deep familiarity and appreciation of each individual in the group as an individual. It's a very long topic that cannot be answered in one sentence. It's a very important topic.
Insisti spesso nei tuoi libri e nei tuoi corsi sull'importanza della pulizia energetica. Puoi accennare brevemente ai metodi principali che suggerisci?
I use breathing and breath hold. I use cold and hot showers. I use nutrition that is right for my blood type. I use a technique called intention and objection, which I've discussed in my book, The Reality Creation Technique. I use a technique called commanding things to be. I use an awareness of levels of consciousness and how I feel in level, let's say on a scale from 1 to 10 level. I know how I feel at who I am at level 5, level 6, level 4. I can discern between states, between energies, between moods.
Sei un personaggio famoso che ha tanti lettori e followers. Quali sono le tue strategie per non cadere nell'autoesaltazione, come spesso si vede accadere nel mondo spirituale, e diventare vittima del tuo ego?
Well, that's a challenge. I try to get back to. That's why I try to stay outside of myself and with another person's needs, not my needs. It's not about me. So when I visit a seminar, it's not about me. And I don't talk that much in seminars, actually. I want to let people talk, let people do, and hear their stories. I think my phrase is, it's not about me. This phrase has helped me.
Sei un coach di alto livello e a te si rivolgono anche personaggi importanti. Ma tu, quando hai un problema, una crisi, a chi ti rivolgi? Arriva un momento in cui non c'è più bisogno di avere un supporto esterno? O anche tu a volte hai bisogno di ricevere consigli e guida da un coach?
Every human being can learn from others. I read an enormous amount. I learn from other coaches all the time. Absolutely. Um, I speak, I converse with my creator um, casually, not in a religious sense, but casually. My creator is my coach. You could call it higher self, okay? You could call it God, but I have spiritual coaching. I call it my creator or my highest source. I learn from my students. I ask them questions. A good coach should constantly be learning because the moment you say, I'm a good coach, as I said, you're already declining. You're already going into the grave. You're never finished. You're never a good coach. The best is always yet to come.
Cosa contraddistingue una persona di successo?
Success is intending a thing and then it comes true. When I was young, I intended to write books on these topics and then it came true. I intend to achieve a certain skill level in this sport and then it comes true. I intend to have this type of partner and then it comes true. That is success.
Nel mondo spirituale di solito ci sono queste due correnti. C'è chi si affida a un guru, a un gruppo, a una scuola, e poi c'è chi rimane un outsider e tendenzialmente fa da solo, pur seguendo corsi e seminari, leggendo libri e facendo lavori spirituali di vario tipo. Che ne pensi?
It depends on a person's consciousness level, whether they can do it themselves or require outside assistance. Personally, I don't really require outside assistance. Oftentimes, my intuition was better than the advice I had received. And often in my life, I say, I wish I would have listened to my heart than this guru's advice or this seminar's advice. So it's okay to learn a lot from others, but you have inside of yourself, you have an inner coach in your chest, in your heart, a super brain. You are divinely created. You are you have much more knowledge and access to knowledge than you know. You have an intuition, you have a heart, you have a mind, you have common sense, you have experience. So you need to balance getting advice from others versus listening in a calm state to what's good for you.
Come distinguere un vero maestro da un falso maestro?
It's good to know that 90% of spiritual teachers are not walking their talk. A good spiritual teacher walks their talk and has a sense of humor. Walking your talk means they are experiencing and doing what they talk about. This was very beautiful to see during the pandemic when so many teachers who claimed that they can heal themselves suddenly claimed otherwise. You saw so much of that during that time. So they have a sense of humor and they're not limited only to teaching spirituality, and they don't need constant agreement. There's so many signs. If you are first connected to yourself, you can discern falsehood in the outside. You need to know yourself first, and then you know truth versus falsehood in others. So get to know yourself.
Cos'è la manipolazione? Si può davvero essere manipolati o c'è sempre un nostro consenso o desiderio inconscio?
Billions of dollars are invested into manipulating people through marketing, through advertising, through politics. And that shows that you can be manipulated, but it takes an enormous amount of money and effort. It's not that easy because people are very, very powerful within. It's not easy, and requires constant attention and reinforcement, and it requires people to look at their screens all the time and television and social media. Then they can be manipulated, but the moment you switch off your TV and get back to reality, to what's really going on around you, it's not that easy to manipulate you.
Hai scritto un bellissimo libro sul denaro, Attrarre magneticamente ricchezza, il cui principio cardine è che la ricchezza è una conseguenza del beneficio che rechiamo agli altri. Che ne pensi dell'usanza di donare in beneficenza il 10% dei propri guadagni, presente in molte tradizioni esoteriche e non?
I don't do this, but I'm aware of it. And I define my charity as putting out free content, and much more than 10%. Everything that I teach in my books or in my expensive coachings, expensive seminars, is also available for free if you know where to look, if you put in some effort. I believe in secret charity. It's important to me, secret charity. Otherwise, charity can become a show off, a bragging. Look, I'm giving charity. I'm an amazing person. I like to give in secret, help people in secret, act as a person's angel in secret. So I do something good for them. They don't know where it comes from. And they start believing that life is good and the universe is a good place. The power of secret charity. That's wonderful.
Universi paralleli del sé è considerato il tuo capolavoro ed è un libro amatissimo e vendutissimo anche in Italia. Secondo te perché alcuni libri diventano bestseller? Esiste una ricetta?
Sometimes I already know beforehand which book will sell better than the other because it's because of levels of consciousness, levels of energy. And if you go too high or too low, you're missing the masses, the majority, which are their consciousness is somewhere in the middle. And I write some books that are just too high, and I know they won't sell well, and that's okay. And then I know this book will sell well because that's exactly what everybody wants to read. There's what people want to read, and then there's what I want to write. And I have to find a balance between the two because sometimes I just write what I want to write, and that doesn't interest anybody. And that's okay, But to support myself financially, I sometimes have to write about what others want.
Reality Creation è un altro libro delizioso e utilissimo che hai scritto, con moltissimi esercizi. Ci puoi raccontare brevemente la genesi di questo tuo metodo? In cosa si differenzia da altri metodi considerati simili, tipo il transurfing o varie applicazioni della legge di attrazione?
Reality creation is exercising your willpower while integrating doubts. So you want to believe in something, you want to make something subconscious, and while at the same time integrating doubts. That's what the reality creation technique is about. It's not about suppressing doubts, suppressing fears, suppressing negative emotions, but integrating them while at the same time staying focused on your goal. And that's the whole challenge of life. Can you stick with what you really want, what's true to your heart, even though all these other voices and doubts and fears come up throughout the day, throughout the week? Can you still stick with it and stay with it persistently until it's manifest? That's the big question. The more often you do that, the stronger you become.
C'è un libro di un altro autore che ti sarebbe piaciuto scrivere?
My writing is inspired by not being satisfied with the books I read. So, unfortunately, not. No, there's not.
L'ultima domanda è sull'intuizione, a cui hai dedicato uno dei tuoi libri più belli, Corso d'intuizione. L'intuizione nasce dal cuore o è frutto di una combinazione tra mente e cuore? Come si fa quando il cuore e la mente sentono due cose diverse? Il cuore va sempre seguito, anche quando la mente non è d'accordo?
I don't know what applies to you, but for me, I like the combination of mind and heart. And the best decisions in my life were if both my mind agreed and my heart agreed, and there was no conflict. And how can we balance this, you ask? In our society, there's too much emphasis on the mind, and most people need to explore the chest feeling more. And the feeling they get here, you get a piece of information and you react here or you react here. So we're very good with the mind and with using the mind, and a lot of people need to use this more. But personally, I want this, and this to match. How do I do it? I don't know how I do it. It's such a habit now that it's become subconscious. I know how to do it. Read the book, Intuition Training.